In this Star Wars Outlaws news update video, I will be sharing with you everything we know about the Wildcard DLC. This first story expansion for the game is about to release, so I thought I'd round up all of the story details, content info, price and more. But before we do take a look at all of that though, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future news updates on Star Wars Outlaws. So at the time of this video going live, we are just over a week away from Star Wars Outlaws' first DLC releasing, Wildcard. It comes out on Thursday, November 21st, along with a bunch of other stuff, which I will just mention, because whilst Wildcard is the main thing happening on November 21st, it's not the only thing. So there will be free contracts for all players. Wildcard is a paid DLC, but there will be free contracts for everybody on November 21st, along with Title Update 4, which is going to be the biggest update yet, with new features, bug fixes, and more. On top of that, the game will also be releasing on Steam if you prefer to play on Steam. Whilst November 21st is going to be huge, the main focus for this video and that day is obviously going to be Wildcard, so let's talk about that first, starting with some artwork that we have. So this is the key art for the DLC. It's this really nice painted piece of artwork, and it shows Kay holding a couple of Sabacc cards, MD5, Lando, this droid that is quite different to what we've seen before. We don't know who this is, but it does appear to have some sort of authority. It almost looks like the droid is wearing clothes, sort of in the same vein as Lando perhaps. We can also see Kay and Lando at a Sabacc table with 4 other people and Nix, along with a hologram. We'll go back to the hologram later on in the video. Another piece of artwork that has been released for this DLC, but more for the entirety of the Season Pass, is this. So it shows Kay and Nix along with Lando on the left-hand side in what appears to be just outside of a doorway, don't really know whereabouts this is, and then Hondo on the right-hand side. Hondo is not going to be part of this DLC, at least not anything significant. He might potentially be teased, I don't know, but he's going to be part of the second story DLC, which will be releasing in spring 2025, called A Pirate's Fortune, and it's mostly about Hondo, so this is just the key art for the Season Pass. Let's now dive into some gameplay and story details for the Wildcard DLC. So, from the Season Pass trailer, we know that Kay will be forced to work for the Empire. I know many of my viewers want to work for the Empire, and you'll be doing just that in this DLC. Here is some gameplay footage from the DLC of Kay walking towards a stormtrooper with the door opening, with an Imperial officer of some kind as well as another stormtrooper in this room. It is hard to make out what exactly is in this room, but there are a bunch of different artifacts. Kay will be sent on a mission to infiltrate an elusive casino ship to participate in a high-stakes Sabacc tournament, and we have a snippet of footage of this casino ship going through hyperspace right here, and it looks pretty cool. It's got an interesting design. It's nothing too spectacular, but it's something. Lots of engines, and this will be a new location that we will be able to explore, so we don't know how big this will be at this moment in time, but hopefully it's very detailed, hopefully it's pretty large, and I'm looking forward to a brand new location to just explore in Star Wars Outlaws, seeing as I've completed the game. Now, I did mention you will be participating in a high-stakes Sabacc tournament, and that tournament was shown in the key art, and it was also shown in this piece of concept art. So we can see here the same sort of shot of Kay and Lando facing each other. Then we have 4 NPCs sat in between them. We don't know who these people are, what their deal is, but at the table we also do see that same hologram again of a spherical object. To add to this concept art, we can see quite a lot of NPCs watching on, which is interesting, as well as Nix looking at one of the vacuum droids. Now, according to the Season Pass trailer, when you get to the ship, Kay will join forces with Lando, and we get to see some footage of this in-game right here at the Sabacc table. So we can see Kay in the foreground, Lando in the background, and then we also have this hologram once again on the table. It looks to be a planet or something. I know some people have said it's the Death Star, but I don't think it is the second Death Star. It just looks more like a planet. Now, I did try and translate the Aurebesh, but I couldn't quite figure it out. The quality of the YouTube video was just too low, so the compression messed up, and I just couldn't figure out what most of the letters were. Based on the fact that we are seeing 4 players plus Kay and Lando, I'd expect this DLC to include 6 players Sabacc at some point, specifically when it comes to do with the story, so that's going to be interesting. I know some people love Sabak and some people hate Sabak. For some reason, those that have tend to hate Sabak have been complaining about this DLC, saying this entire DLC is just a game of Sabak. That's not going to be the case. This is a story expansion, not a minigame expansion. The Season Pass trailer said that Kay and Lando's alliance is set up for explosive results as they uncover a conspiracy that will lead them into the most secret and secure part of Miragana on Tashara, and we see concept art of Kay running away from those droids, along with Nyx. There is also this piece of concept art of Lando hiding behind these crates whilst Kay and Nyx talk to a couple of stormtroopers. Now, we don't know where these two pieces of concept art take place. Are they on the casino ship, or are they on Tashara in this new location? I would say Tashara, but that's just my assumption. Given the tease of the most secret and secure part of Miragana, I get the feeling that there will be some new areas made specifically for this DLC inside that will be added to Tashara, which would be very cool. I also have seen some questions about how will this actually work with the main story, because as you know from the trailers, even if you haven't got through the main story of Star Wars Outlaws, there is a chance to meet Lando, and he is part of the progression in the game. Now, how will the game handle this if you haven't met him and you get the DLC and you start doing the DLC stuff? We don't know that either at this moment in time. Hopefully it's dynamic, where if you do the wildcard stuff, he acts like he doesn't know you yet and he hasn't met Kay before, things like that. Or if you have met him, as I'm showing you in the gameplay right here, you get a different perspective. I don't know how that's going to be handled. I hope it's going to be done well. We'll just have to wait and see when it does release. In terms of how long this DLC will be, we don't have any indication from Ubisoft themselves how big this DLC will be in terms of length, but based on Massive's previous DLC, which is the Skybreaker for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, this is some idea that we could sort of use at this moment in time. It's the only real good one we can actually get hold of, and it takes about 3 to 4 hours to complete. I've had a good time playing it so far. I haven't completed it, but I'm about 2.5 hours in, and whilst they are completely different games and different teams, they are still the same studio, and they also cost the same price, or most likely will be, and I'll get into that in just a moment. So if you just think it's going to be an hour extra content, it's not going to be that. If you think it's going to be something like a 10-hour expansion, it's probably not going to be that either. Let's now talk about price and answer a question I've had many of you ask me. Can you purchase the DLC separately from the Season Pass? The good news is, yes, you will be able to from day one. At this moment in time, you can only purchase the Season Pass for £35 or $40, and there is no way of purchasing either Wildcard or a Pirate's Fortune individually at this moment in time. That said, you will be able to when it does come out, much like the Avatar DLC and other Ubisoft titles. For price comparison, the Skybreaker DLC costs £12 or $15, so almost half of the cost of the Season Pass. The reason why the Season Pass costs more is because you get more stuff. You get a few cosmetics and a bonus quest. With the Season Pass of Outlaws, you will also receive the bonus Jabba's Gambits mission, which you can get right now if you own the Season Pass, along with the Kessel Runner, Chewbacca and Han Solo inspired character pack. Plus, on the release date of Wildcard, you'll receive 2 cosmetic bundles, Hunter's Legacy, which looks to be inspired by Boba Fett, and the Cartel Ronin. Both of these, according to the developers, look great, and these include cosmetics for Kay, Nyx, the Speeder, and Trailblazer. We don't know too much about Wildcard in the grand scheme of things, and it is the one that people aren't as interested in purely because it doesn't have Hondo, but I do think people will probably see this as a nice bit of good content. Hopefully it is good. Hopefully the story elements are also good. More details on Wildcard are expected to come out ahead of its release, so make sure you do subscribe for all of that information. Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on anything I've talked about Wildcard in this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like to help support the channel. Subscribe so you don't miss any future news on Star Wars Outlaws, and if you did miss any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.